Good morning. Good morning. Is communication becoming a bigger and bigger challenge? 32% of people say that working and just communicating with clients and coworkers has become more of a challenge in the last year. 74% of businesses have started using new tools and apps to help enhance communication. So go figure. Today, we're going to try and help with just that. Try and go over tips, communication skills that I found really helpful that hopefully can help you as well. Cheers. Enjoy the show. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you the absolute best person you can be, not only for yourself, but for the people you love and care about most. Good morning, everyone. And today we're talking about communication, and communication. It seems that this is one of the biggest opportunities I know for myself. Over the last year, it has definitely been a lot harder to motivate myself to get in person, to get in front of people, to make good eye contact, to just listen and engage with people more often. I think COVID definitely jacked a lot of us up when it comes to communication skills. We're going to see a real wave. And my girlfriend, she teaches children, and she talks about how the communication skills and being inside for that long period of time did have an influence on their ability to communicate and to just acknowledge that it's not just us. There's other people in the environment where we need to work with other people to get where we want to go. Humanity is a collective group. We all need each other. No person's on an island, right? Even the biggest businesses in the world have thousands and thousands and thousands of employees. So we all need each other. And I think we can make life more fun and fulfilling when we know how to communicate appropriately when we're talking to the right people. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This morning, we're going to go over these 5 tips for communication. These tips have really helped me change. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to the show this morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday as well. Thank you. We are going to start with this first tip. It's okay to agree to disagree. The first tip on our list today, it's okay to agree to disagree. So if we're talking to somebody today and they are saying something that we don't like, we don't have to react and freak out and challenge and try and change people's minds. How often does it work when we try to change other people's minds? Never, pretty much, right? So we have to, the best way that we can influence is 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? Creation for a reason. But this agree to disagree, I think, can be such a competitive advantage when we're going out there. Say if we're trying to meet clients, we're trying to make friends, we're trying to connect with our family, whoever it is, even if we're influencing students, say you're a teacher, like in our original example. But if we can just agree to disagree with people, I think it'll hold a lot of backlash and a lot of resentment. Because what's the next thing? So if I say something and you disagree with it and you come charging at me, trying to run me over, bowling me over, change my mind, what is my next response? Probably something even over the top of that. So this is how things escalate, and this is how negative emotion tends to get pulled out. It is so blunt. I used to, the old me, someone would disagree with me on something, and I would let that thought penetrate my brain, take my time the rest of my day. I would just be upset. I would just be frustrated because one random person on one random thought that means absolutely nothing disagreed with me. Have you ever done this? I used to do this all the time. And it's like, I'm literally just losing my most precious resource, my time, because somebody doesn't agree with me on something. There's 7 billion people on this planet. And are there going to be people who disagree with me? You know it. So if we can embrace the fact that other people are going to disagree, and that's part of the beauty in free speech, right? So I love free speech because I might have to listen to you say something I disagree with, but at least it kind of challenges my opinion, maybe. Because did you ever think of something was a certain way when you were 16, and then when you're 26 or 36, how your mind changes? Right. So then having the window open is probably a good thing for learning and growth. But either way, from free speech perspective, they can say something that I don't agree with, but I can say something I don't agree with. So we wouldn't want to just be completely hushed out and not be able to get our message out. That'd be really bad. Okay. So to help with this, I would say the second one is avoiding interrupting. So usually when people say have a hard time with the first part, like agreeing to disagree, then what starts to happen? We start to interrupt. We start to cut people off. We just jump them and try and jump in. We try to sound smart. We try to sound as clever as possible. This is something I used to do all the time. And I was a silly pants. I'll admit it. I was a silly pants. I would try. I truly believe I could maybe change someone's mind if I just cut them off, jumped at them, said something really clever, and tried to like win them that way. Oh, I won the argument. Oh, I won. I beat him. I said something faster. I talk louder, so I win. You know these people, man. And I think we all do it a little bit. And the goal is never to. We're never going to get completely rid of any of these habits. That's just foolish thinking. But reduction is very beautiful. Reduction is the opportunity to be happier and healthier because that means we're growing and evolving. So if we can just avoid interrupting today. So say you're going to work, say you're working with some clients, say you're talking to family members, say you're even talking to kids, whoever, right? If we can just not interrupt, if we can just let them talk, and we can use the 3 levels of listening. Over here, I have the episode where I go really deep onto the 3 levels of listening. So if you want to check out this episode, this is episode 348, and I'm just talking about gaining respect and talking to people in general. But I talk about the 3 levels of listening. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to run through it really quick right here. So the 3 levels of listening. So in the first one, we're just speaking to reply. That is interruption in itself. That is level 1 listening. So when you're on level 1, that means you're just like replying. You're listening in your own head. How does this relate to me? They're talking. I'm thinking of something clever. I'm not even listening to them. Thinking of something clever. Boom, I fire back. That's level 1. Level 2 would be just like I'm laser focused and I can just repeat back the words that you say. This happens a lot in school or when we're getting lectured by our boss or whatever. I'm just taking in letter for letter, word for word what you're saying. And then level three, if I can count this morning, is I'm listening to you. I'm taking in your tone. I'm taking in your body language. I'm taking in the inflection that you put into your words, deep encompassing communication. And this is how we can really understand people. Listening to understand, not to respond. Listening to understand and not to respond. And we can do that. We can get to level 3 more often by avoiding interrupting. So avoiding interrupting comes in at number 2 on our list. The next one would be avoid. So this is tip number 3 for improving our communication skills. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in with us this morning. Avoiding private jargon or overly technical terms. Reading the room. Who are we talking to? Who are we listening to? Who are we communicating with? I think this is super vital for just any form of communication, making sure we know who we're talking to. If we are talking to somebody who is not in our line of work, knows nothing about our line of work, then we probably shouldn't drown them in talking about what we did at work all day long. Right? Is that not obvious? I used to do this all the time, like talking about this little life habit, this little life hack, this little thing about life, I'm improving this habit, this habit, this habit. I'm hanging out with my friends and I'm talking about how bad it is to drink this type of drink or how bad it is to smoke a vape or whatever. And they're literally smoking a vape. Like right then and there, right there. Is that the time to probably talk about that? Probably not. So that's why I have on the banner here today. Read the room. Like where are we at? Who are we talking to? And there's nothing wrong with talking about what we're passionate about. But when we get overboard, overcarried, I know there's certain people in certain careers, all they do all day long is talk about what they've done for work. And they're talking to me about talking to someone who does not do that, has no part with that. So is that going to be very fun for me? Probably not. So I've learned that, and then trying to do the same. I'm not trying to drown people in personal development habits, accountability and coaching and stuff, real estate investments, all that, if they're not really into it or they don't really ask me any questions about it. So avoiding over technical private jargon, I think, has really helped. And when I was really going through the notes, I was like, because there's so many tips on communication, right? But the ones that really made sense to me, it's like, okay, if I can just avoid this private jargon, and it helps people be included, right? So say if we're with a group of people, 3 of us do this one career and the one other person doesn't, should we just exclude them and only talk about the technical terms on this one career? Probably not. That probably makes it really hard to include. I know I've been at parties or doing this, and I was the only one who didn't do this one particular career. Nobody asked me any questions. I didn't know what they were talking about. Was that really good communication? Probably not. So these are things that we can just look out for. So next time you're communicating with someone, let's read the room and know who we're talking to and kind of glance at. And that feeds us into how do we get people included? How do we talk to them? And that leads to point number 4. Ask questions, then ask more questions. Being interested, shout out to Dale Carnegie, one of the greatest to ever do it. Being interested is interesting. Being interested is interesting. So if we can be a little more interested this morning, if we can be a little more interested today when we're communicating with our clients, when we're communicating with our friends, with our family, people who we want to have a positive impact on, if we can just be a little more interested and ask a few more questions. How are you today? That's a good one. What are you excited about? What do you like? What have you been learning? Anything cool coming up? What's got your interest? What have you been spending your time on? Asking questions and then asking more questions. If we want to be good communicators, questions are right there, baby. That's all we do. I'm so grateful for coaching because it really taught me how to do this. I used to think like, oh, I can just talk and give people advice or do this and that. It's like, that is not the case. It is listening. You already have the answer. I already have the answers of how to fix my life and how to get to the next step, right? To evolve and grow and keep inching towards our goals and our aspirations, right? But we just need support. We just need somebody who can like champion us, encourage us, support us, and ask thoughtful, provoking questions to get out the right action items that are good for us. So there's going to be a small particular step forward that you could take today to improve yourself. There's going to be a different one that I take to improve myself. But either way, asking questions and being asked questions from people we love and we care about, people we look up to, whether they're coaches, whether they're our parents, whether they're even our kids or our family members, whoever, right? Just asking questions and trying to get it out, getting people to try and talk and communicate about themselves. Because what is your favorite subject to talk about? It's not even close. I'll give you a hint. It's you. So if we know this, that the most common word used is I, because we like to talk about ourselves, that's our number one interest, we can use that knowledge as very powerful communication tools to help be more interested. So be a little more interested today, and we can be a little more interesting. Okay. Lastly, if we want to say, give a presentation, or we want to create online content, or we just want to improve our message, say something's going on with one of your nephews, one of your nieces, something's going on with one of your family members, something's going on with one of your friends, something's going on with your clients and in your business. We have to communicate for a lot of reasons. Something's going on. Crap's hitting the fan somewhere today, right? And if we need to practice what we need to say, I highly recommend recording yourself. this has been, I can only speak from personal experience, but recording myself talking and watching myself talk has really helped nip in the butt a lot of filler words, just other things in general about how I can improve as a communicator. So I would highly recommend that, or just practicing with a coach. Practicing, I literally have clients who just run through speeches and run through sales scripts like for a straight hour when I'm just listening to them, talking to them, role playing and that kind of stuff. If you can find somebody, maybe a friend or a family member, a coach, a professional, whoever will listen to you and play with that, practice is really awesome. Maybe you just practice in front of the mirror. I would highly recommend practicing in front of like some type of recorded device, because you're just really going to see the filler stuff that comes in, the mannerisms of communication. For example, in my earlier episodes, I had a ton of filler words because I wasn't very good at talking. Granted, I still have a long way to go, and I'm really excited about improving and becoming a better communicator, but it's just so easy to pick on and be very logical about it. Like, oh, I'd like to change this up. And let's not kick ourselves in the butt. Let's not just, be too hard on ourselves, because nobody's good at anything we don't do all the time, and it'll get better at time. I was not a natural speaker, and if you look at my really old episodes, like in the single digits or whatever, it was pretty rough to listen to. But I'd argue it's gotten a lot better in whatever role that is for you. The main point here, what I'm saying is, let's just practice what we want to say. Maybe practice preparation. The separation is in the preparation. So maybe you got something that you want to practice. Maybe you want to practice talking about who you are, what you want out of life, what you're selling. All of these things take practice. So taking the time, and I'd say recording myself has been the best tool that I've had. So, okay. Would it be a Dr. Tanner morning show if we didn't have a bonus? I got to plug my charger in real quick, folks. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing this morning? It is a beautiful sunny day here in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. Excited. I'm going to take the dog for a walk today. Last bonus before we head out of here today. These were the 5 tips on improving our communication skills. The last and final one before we go out of here. This little framework I learned from a sales training. I just paid for this sales training class last week, and I really liked it, so I wanted to share it on here today. Questions, tonality, and objections. So when it comes to influencing anybody or anything, I think we all are salesmen, saleswomen in particular situations. Like, we have to make an influence to try and help the people we love and care about most to do something that we believe is beneficial for them. I think life's a game of influence, and the better we are at it, the we tend to get what we want. But so use these 3 as an anchor for communication, and I think it'll really help with communication skills in general. I think it's helped me a lot. First off is asking questions. What are the questions that you want to ask? I think just acknowledging, being a champion, being kind, and listening to people really lowers the defenses. So a lot of times when you're talking to somebody, when they're like a turtle shell, they're in their turtle shell, they're not really willing to talk to you or this and that. I think questions, and good thought-provoking questions, are questions that are aligned with what they love to do, what they're interested in, what do they love to learn about. When we have the questions that are aligned with them, if you see they got a dog, ask them a question about their dog. Who doesn't love their dog? Or their kids, or the sports, or whatever. So questions that are aligned with their interests. Next up would be the tonality. It's not just what we say, it's how we say it. I think we can pause, and this is something I'm really trying to learn at and get good at. I watch a lot of these morning shows over again, and I'm like high energy and going blah 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 blah, go go go, and I'm trying to slow down. Maybe I have a bit of more of a concerned tone in my voice. Does it change how you listen to me when I pause in between what I have to say, the inflections that I have to say? In coaching, I've been really trying to wait a second. and do a little bit of mirroring with my tonality. So whenever someone says an emotion, say if I've been really stressed about work, and I will kind of slowly say with a little bit of a pause, stress, stress. Or say if they're feeling anxiety, then I'll be like, anxiety, that's tough. Where do you feel it at? So I think we can make impact and influence just by slowing things down and going back and forth a little bit. So maybe we're working on tonality and we're doing some more research and practice with that. I think a lot of practice is going to be the best way to do that one. And then the last part is objections. So when you're ever trying to sell, and this one's very particular to selling, getting more business, or really trying, if you do the homework on the objections they're going to have, you build that into your opportunity to talk. So this is what great marketers have been doing since the beginning of time. They build your objections into their sales presentation. It's a beautiful thing. It's brilliant psychology, and this people have made literal billions of dollars off of this. If you can use this in your own business, you're going to become a millionaire. It works. It's so good. And you use social proof. Another add-on that I'm learning is you use social proof to add the objections. So say when I'm talking to somebody who I want to take my one-page life plan class. So let's go ahead. Let's do a little practice selling. So we go over here to talktotanner.com. So you're over at talktotanner.com, and I want people to take my one-page life plan class. And when I'm doing a little bit of a presentation, I'm including what would be some common objections of why you wouldn't do this. You're too busy, you don't have enough money, or what? So time and money, right? So in my testimonials, I will say this busy person accomplished so much more and realized that they had plenty of time. They were just being a silly pants about their priorities and kind of making a fun, light joke, that type of ideology. Or if you don't have enough money, this person, they went from being completely broke to they made a way to pay for it. They got this we have this consumer credit line to where you can make small monthly payments to go through it. And then they got the return on their investment guaranteed, or we refunded them. So we made money not an issue. So if you can build into that framework, so that's under the objections part. So think of the objections people might have is my point, and then just prepare them, use social proof, use classic examples to hit them in the head at first. So because in my brain, if you already told me that the reason why I wouldn't do it can already be solved, then I'm going to be a lot more likely to do it. And that's influence. So that was a bonus for influencing. I wanted to add that on there. I thought that was fun. These were 5 tips for improving communication, to really run through them quickly for my video editor. It's okay to disagree. It's okay. We don't have to agree on everything. That's great. Avoid private jargon and overly technical terms when we're talking. Like, we're usually talking, say, to clients, they're not experts, we're the expert. We need to put ourselves in their shoes. Make sure that we're avoiding interrupting and using the 3 levels of listening, level 3 preferred. Next up is ask questions, then ask more questions, and practice what it is that we want to say. I believe these 5 tips can really help improve our communication, help strengthen our relationships, and make us happier and healthier. That's all I had today. You can always check me out at talktotanner.com if you want to check out the services that I have. Preferably, this is my number 1 product, the one-page life plan course. This is a 6-week course that you can nail. It's absolute money. And I do offer a money-back guaranteed because, I think it's so good. And if you ain't happy, I ain't happy. Otherwise, you can always go to YouTube, my one-page life plan, and then you can go to our live stream. So say if you're over at talktotanner.com, you can go to past live streams. And there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes on here just for free personal development tips and tricks completely on me. Okay, awesome. That's all I had for today, folks. I'm going to kick this off my screen. If you guys needed to hear it, I love you. You're a badass. Let's have an awesome day today. Let's communicate at a high level and see if we can make a positive impact on the world. Cheers, friends. And I will be back here live, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with another episode of Talk to Tanner Morning Show, bright and early tomorrow, Wednesday morning. Thanks so much. Have a super Tuesday. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.